Hi, everyone, and welcome back. I'm Adriana Monique Alvarez with Alma Publishing, and I am continuing the conversations with the contributors of Awakening. And I am thrilled to have Diana with us today. Hi, Diana. How are you?
Hello, Adriana. So lovely to see you. I'm very well, thank you.
Excellent. Where are you joining us from?
Right now, I'm in Ibiza, Spain. So that's a beautiful jewel-like island in the Mediterranean Sea,
Oh, my goodness.
where I've
Yeah,
been
that's
living for
like
12 years.
paradise, right?
Paradise, exactly.
Yeah, I love it. Now, your chapter, tell us a little bit about your chapter and why you decided on this topic.
Okay, so my chapter is all about how we tap into our womb wisdom. And the reason I wanted to do this was that it's the way I navigate my life. It's the way I've learnt to navigate my life because I went through a whole process of really awakening to the power, the mystery, and the wisdom of my womb. And that took several years. And what I noticed was that the more and more I got into my womb wisdom, the more I became fiercely true to myself. And the more I was able to really navigate my true path in the world. And that true path then brought me all sorts of abundance and rewards and fulfillment that I hadn't ever really imagined. So I felt that as we're entering these very treacherous times where there's a lot of, in a way, it's very difficult to navigate because there's a lot of confusion. I really felt that I wanted to kind of bring a gift that would allow people to have their own internal sovereignty and
Mm-hmm.
ability to navigate life in a way that they will be able to forge their own path at this time, because that's what we need to do. We need to forge our own path. We need to forget about what anybody else is telling us and just really find our own true way, whatever that is.
Mm. Yeah, it's true. When I was reading your chapter, I was like, oh, yes. Yes. Like I just, wanted to underline it. And that was one of the things you mentioned. And I think it's so timely is that none of this can come from outside authority figures. Like at some point, we have to decide that we actually are the one, right? We're not looking to find the one. We are it. Yeah.
Exactly. And I think that's really the leap, the evolutionary leap that we are in. We're moving from a sense of hierarchy and a sense of placing authority outside ourselves, and now we're finding it ourselves. And the ones who are the way showers really need to embody that.
Mm, mm. Amen, sister. Because I mean, I want to share something I've observed, and then what seemed such a contrast in your chapter. I have seen so many that I have watched or worked with or observed for years, and healers and leaders, and all of a sudden, this is the thing that suddenly is the exception to all their rules, right? Oh, yes, the body can heal itself. Oh, yes, we are sovereign. Oh, yes, we are the ones that create our reality. And then all of a sudden it was like, oh, but except for this, suddenly we have an exception to the rule, right?
Mm, mm,
And what I loved about your chapter is that you just kept bringing me back to this. No, 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 no. It is not about listening to outside narratives. It's really about coming back in to the wisest place. You gave this outline of three, like how to find, like what's your center of gravity and three different places it could be. Would you talk a little bit about that? Because I found it fascinating and so true.
sure. So in my journey, what I've realized is that we can operate from different centers of consciousness. And if we look at, you can think about it like the chakra system and think about how you may be tuned into different centers. But I prefer to think about three particular centers, which are the pineal gland, the heart, and the womb. And for me, they're the feminine centers. And what I realized is that if we're not really conscious about where we're operating from, we can get trapped or stuck in just one of those. And I want to talk a little bit about how you know you're in one or the other, and
Mm.
to make sure that you're actually tapping into your whole range of wisdom, because that's really important. And so, if your center of gravity, when I refer to a center of gravity, it's kind of like where you habitually are and where you habitually operate from. So if your center of gravity is kind of high up in your body, it's in the pineal gland, it makes you very receptive to the astral realms, to the energetic realms, to the ascended masters. in a way, very, very receptive to the authority above and outside you. And
Mm,
so it's very beautiful when you have an awakening and your intuition opens and you start channeling in those realms, but you're not actually fully situated in your body yet. You're kind of outside your body. And I see a lot of people in the spiritual world whose center of gravity is up there, and they're not actually in their bodies. They're not really mastering their lives. They're not really mastering relationships. They're not really mastering money. They're lovely people. They're very connected, but they still need to land. And
mm,
so you can keep traveling down and you can go into your heart. And so the people with the center of gravity in the heart are the ones who are connected through love into life. So that's love for humanity, love for each other, themselves, the wider universe, animals, trees, plants, the planet herself. Um, and that's also very beautiful. So the heart connection is very sustaining for us, and we need it. We need to have the open heart connection. A huge amount of power comes through the heart. But if you're only in your heart and potentially up in the pineal, you may have a loss of boundaries. So you may be in the state of, I am connected to everything, but because of that connection, I've actually lost my sense of who I am, and I don't have clear boundaries around myself, around my personal space, around my sexuality, around my even my path and my core identity of who I actually am. So this is where we need to keep going deeper. And this is the part, this is the journey right down into the womb. And it doesn't matter if you've got a physical womb or not, it's an energy space, it's a consciousness space. This is where I feel like we need to land if we are going to fully occupy our power. And so when we start operating from the womb, we're starting to tap into the wisdom and the consciousness of a very embodied part of us. The womb really knows who we are. And it's like she has this very sensitive vibration inside her that really knows and understands what is good for us and what is not good for us,
mm,
where we should go and where we shouldn't go. And it's almost like this kind of very visceral navigation system, which is what we need because we are in bodies, we are individuals, and we do have our own path as a sovereign being. So when we get into the womb, we start getting into this sense of our power, our identity, our purpose, our own personal authority and sovereignty in a new way. And we get grounded through the womb. We just energetically plug straight into the earth as well.
mm,
And that really helps us to start mastering actually the basics of life. So we can be spiritual beings with the higher awareness, the love and the connection, but we're also mastering the ABC of, abundance, growing our own business, being in relationship, all of that stuff, which is actually quite hard if you don't have that core relationship to yourself and to the earth.
mm.
So that's why I talked about that center of gravity and how it's really important for each person to check in with themselves and see where they really are. And it's going to tell you what work you have to do to get fully aligned.
Mm. I absolutely love it. And you said something about that final, center of gravity. And basically you said when you've arrived in your womb space, you become a badass and not everyone will like it. And I love that because I mean for myself, I could see myself in so much of what you were saying, and I was just like, oh yes. Okay, that's okay. That's that's part of the process, right? And when you talk about this, it's so true because I can see how there's a difference between being a spiritual being and actually um, taking on the life stuff, right?
Mm.
Like being able to be in a healthy relationship or a healthy marriage, learning how to receive money effortlessly, all of these things. And so that's what I love about this. And one of the things that I mentioned to you was I love the process that you put at the end of your chapter, this daily practice. So if this is new or it's just sort of been words flying around, oh yes, connect to your womb, all of this, it can actually become a daily practice. And you said that people could contact you because you have something more than that, yes?
I do. I can send through a beautiful, it's a shamanic journey practice. So before I connected with my womb, I spent about 7 or 8 years in core shamanic journeying practice with the drum.
Mm,
And so all of my work is very much informed by this deep embodied drum work. And so I've created a beautiful shamanic track, which really gets you into your body viscerally. and helps you open up the spaces of wisdom inside your womb, so that you are entering into your womb, but it's a visual and spiritual experience of really coming into contact with your internal world, where you can find so much wisdom and information. And actually, once you're within the womb, it's almost like where you access yourself as your own spirit guide, because you're accessing your deepest, wisest, highest self. And that's how I see the space of the womb. It's like when I need to check in with myself every day. What am I doing? Where am I going? You know, there's a decision to navigate. There's something that I need to figure out. Am I being true to myself here? What's the answer I need to give this person? I will just drop in to my womb, because now I've been doing this for a long time, so I can just drop in, and I drop in and I take all my questions there. So for example, when I tuned into whether to join your book project, that was where I went, and it was a yes, and that's why I joined. So it's just constantly dropping into that space and bringing the real everyday stuff that's happening for you, and finding the deep answers, which are not conditioned. Because in our heads, we have conditioned answers. We have answers and guidance from ourselves, which will often be driven by fear or programming. And when you start taking that visceral journey into the body, you find a space of wisdom inside you, which is completely unconditioned, where it's like your source self, your higher self, is fully available to actually bring you the truth. And that's what we need every single day.
Yes, it's so true. It's like, to be able to have this practice with all of the things that are swirling around us, to come back and to know what is my truth, what is the best next step for me, or like you said, is this right, this next thing. I think that it's one of the most valuable things anyone can have right now.
Yeah, it's really valuable. And what happened for me is that when I started entering into this practice, my life got really pared down, because I was unable to expend energy in anything that didn't feel fully aligned. So if you're out there and you often find yourself like floating around and being involved in a million projects, or around, all these different people, your womb will actually start telling you, no, come back to center. It's this work project, it's this relationship, it's this truth. And it becomes very, very economical. Your life gets very elegant and economical. You only put your energy where it really deserves to belong, and that's such a gift as well.
Oh my goodness. I feel like you're speaking right to me, Diana. I tell everyone every time I do one of these interviews, it's like, it's literally right in tune with what I'm experiencing or feeling. That's what I'm feeling in my life. It's like, okay, streamline, just really, it's almost like decluttering.
Yes, exactly.
This just doesn't have a place anymore, And it really does feel like it's just coming down to the most essential items. And that feels good, actually, but I think that I wasn't expecting it. On some level I was thinking, oh, this means more, but actually it's less.
Yes. I think less gives you more of the good stuff in a way, because you've chosen. And
So
you're going
true.
for the deep and true and juicy. And that's what we need to focus on in life. And if we're going to create things, we need to be super focused.
Yeah, it's true. I have, since paring even just a handful of things down, I have since, like, my creativity and my energy, my excitement, my enthusiasm, everything is just like, woo, heightened, because there's less. Yeah, I mean, I feel the same way when I'm in a space. Like, if it's got a lot of clutter and junk and knickknacks and papers, it's just like, ugh. And it's a similar feeling inside, internally. You know what I would love for you to do? We're doing this tell a story for 30 days. I would love if you would be willing to take us through, like, that drumming meditation thing.
Sure.
I think that would be fantastic, because even as we're expressing ourselves, I mean, I know that so many of the authors who are in awakening, and so many who are going to be in visionary, so many who are looking right now to find their expression, because the biggest thing that people have been telling me is that I sort of have got caught up this year in other people's narratives, other people's stories. And I want a space to be able to remember, I've got something to say too. And I think that would be
Beautiful.
a perfect pairing for that.
Okay. I'm just looking over in that direction because I've got a shamanic drum right there. So we could see if, with the microphone setup I have, it sounds okay. I mean, it's not going to be like a live drum, but it may just be enough to give a pulse, which helps to just settle us into the body. And we could do that with the drum.
That would be
Does that sound
fantastic.
good? Okay,
Yes.
cool. So this drum arrived in the post just today, so that's interesting timing. It's got a nice, can you hear that okay? Yeah, okay. So what I'd like to do is invite you into a journey, into the depths and into the wisdom of your womb. And I want to remind you that within you, you have all the jewels of wisdom that you need, and that your body is this living, breathing barometer of your life. And that in the core of your body is the womb space, which is available to you as the center of consciousness and energy, whether or not you have a physical womb, whether or not you believe your womb is healthy. That's nothing to do with this. This is spiritual work with a deep center of consciousness and power within you that holds in a very sovereign and honoring way your sense of your truth. And so we're going to take a journey, and you might want to close your eyes, you may want to turn off the light, put on a blindfold. Sometimes having darkness around you helps you see the light within yourself. And I want you to now imagine that you are in a forest. And you're walking through this beautiful forest, and you're noticing what kind of trees are in this forest. And there's this one tree that's looming up ahead that's got a hole in the trunk. And the trunk is so big that you can just walk in through this hole or climb in. And find yourself sitting inside the cool and damp and darkness of the tree trunk. Just notice how your body feels as you arrive in that space. Just knowing that that's a very safe space. It's a space inside your body. And now as you're sitting inside this space, inside the tree, just imagine or see that you can now follow the roots of that tree into the earth. And it's as if you're now sliding with your spirit body, with your awareness, down the roots of this tree, and you're sliding through and past the earth and the rocks under the earth. You may be seeing the tiny burrowing of earthworms, and you're just sliding down as if the roots of this tree are guiding you down into a deeper space, until you find yourself sliding down and down into a warm and sensual and inviting opening underneath the earth, as though you've arrived in this very deep subterranean cave. And as you're coming into this space, you may be aware of the quality of the light in this space. Perhaps it's not completely dark. Perhaps you're seeing it as a space that's very gently illuminated. And this is what I call the inner cave of consciousness of your womb. And I invite you to just land and explore this space for a moment. This cave space. Noticing, as I said, the quality of the light. Perhaps any objects that you see. perhaps any beings that are here. And now that you're in this deep space, just notice how your body feels. And let your breath really anchor down into your lower belly. And feel yourself relaxing into this space. And feel all the everyday humdrum of your life just drifting away, being washed away. As you enter deeper and deeper into your body. And as you settle into this beautiful space inside you, which is so inviting, warm, safe. And as you're here, just let yourself become aware of a question that you have. Perhaps there's a decision that you are in the midst of making right now. Perhaps you're at a crossroads. Perhaps you are trying to understand what's best for you in a relationship, in your work. Bring in things that feel really real and practical and impactful in your life. And just settle on a question which you need answers to. Take a moment to formulate that question in your mind. Formulate that in words. And feel like that question is lighting up your whole body, that it's present in every cell. And that you are holding the intention for an answer and guidance and clarity to come from the deepest part of yourself. So now it's time to invite in your womb wisdom. So as you're holding this question, you're now opening a doorway inside you for the deep answers to come and the guidance to come. And depending on who you are, you might feel this differently. Perhaps you're going to see an aspect of yourself arrive like a spirit guide and speak with you. Perhaps you're just going to hear the voice, the answer, the guidance. Perhaps you're just going to get a feeling, a deep knowing of what the answer is. And in this moment, I want to feel, and you to feel, that your question is streaming forth into this cave. And that now, within this space, the most sacred part of you is giving yourself the answer. So let that flow in words, images, sensations. I want you to gather up that wisdom and that information, and imagine you're gathering up into your arms and pressing it into your body so that your whole body can feel the truth of this guidance and this wisdom. And as you take it into yourself, just acknowledge what is true for you right now. And make a commitment to yourself that you are going to act on this, that you are going to embody the truth of this in your life and your decisions and your relationships. And take a moment just to honor and give thanks for the wisdom that's emerged for you. And now, as you're preparing to return back into your ordinary reality, and say goodbye to this cave, knowing you can come back anytime. But every time you come back here, it's going to be easier and quicker. Feel yourself rising up through the roots of the tree. Just feeling that gnarly wood, the earth and the stones as you rise up in your spirit body, back into the hollow, cool, damp trunk of the tree. And when you're ready, you can just very gently step out of the tree, back into the forest, and walk back from the way you came, back into the ordinary, everyday reality of your life. This time holding the wisdom that you need for today.
Absolutely beautiful, Diana. Thank you so much for that. Well, I'm good. I'm going into the rest of this day ready to go. Diana, how can people connect with you and the work that you do?
So please get in touch with me at www.sacredwomanawakening.com. If you'd like to join my free community where I do global meditations. So tomorrow I'm going to be doing a global meditation to clear the energetics of global child trafficking and pedophilia. I take big themes in the world every month, and we come together in community all over the world and do intentional meditation work around that. You can just sign up for that on my homepage. You can also pick up some of my free gifts. I have various masterclasses and practices that you can take. And then eventually you might want to join me on a course or on a training, a practitioner training, whichever level that you feel you want to connect with me. I'm here and available, and I can't wait to see you in my community.
Beautiful. Diana, I want to tell you thank you for contributing in Awakening and for the wisdom that you brought to us. It is absolutely timely and so sacred. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Adriana. It's a real honor and pleasure to be part of your work as well. It really is. I'm so happy to be here.
Thank you. I want to remind everyone that if they haven't already, you can pick up your copy of Awakening. You are definitely going to want to go to Diana's chapter and read through what she shares, go to her daily practice. And if you would like to be in our next book, Visionary, I will make sure I put a link to the application. It will be our final book of 2020 and a beautiful one to feature your story. And until next time, big hugs from Colorado. I'll talk to you soon.